So I don't know if I should have been recording this, but here's what I have. These are the door sill plates. I have two of them. One passenger rear, one passenger front. They sit like this around that center post. And on this side, the carpeting comes up to here, and the door seal closes onto here. Then the rest of this goes out into the door jamb and wraps around the post. And this obviously was steel, not stainless. It's relatively rotted away, and you can see there were recessed screws put in here, and then these look like they were more just a flush screw in here. So what I did is I just wanted to achieve that height. I wasn't overly concerned. I wanted to do it with the most effective method. So basically the OD of this is 3/8, and the height from the top surface to the top surface is 3/8. What we chose to do was go to stainless steel, and we'll start on this side. And I took a 4-inch piece of a 3/8 by 4 piece of strap, roughly 30 inches long. The longest, this piece is 27 inches, so we chopped everything off at 27 inches for the sake of debate. And then we used the bottom die, which is a 1/2-inch opening, and drove a 3/8 piece of 3/8 bar down just a standard vertical brake. Put a piece of 12 gauge on the top so you could clamp it and hold it straight, and then drove it down. Welded 2 pieces of angle iron on it, push this down, and you can see, fabbed it up, and it wasn't the best setup. But then I took that bottom die. It was a piece die, 36-inch long piece die, because we didn't want to wreck the 12-foot long die back. And so I took that with me, chucked that up in a press, in a large press, and put a big piece of aluminum over it, but the aluminum had been used, so I just have to go in and dolly these little dings and stuff out, which that isn't that big of a deal. You get them out, and I got them pretty well out of here, more fingerprints than anything. I'm not concentrating on this side because that's the side that, again, the carpeting will come up to that edge. So in any event, then we did that. And then if you notice, this has it's a curve, and it gets narrower up there. So I took from this groove over, I made a paper pattern, transferred that paper pattern, you can see the Sharpie mark, onto the back side of this, and then wheeled it out in my rig over here, bead roller. So I just wheeled it out on this die that I'd made several videos back, turnover die, and a rubber wheel. Wheeled it out, shrunk it as I folded it over, just kept shrinking and shrinking, and came in and used this die. You can see the marks on it, just to flatten the surface and finish turning over the edge. So it worked really well. I'm happy with it. One's a mirror image of the other, right? Driver and passenger. So I got my curve in it, and now I just need to simply shave my pattern into it, but I'm going to wait on that until I actually have the car here, because this went around a wood post, and then this outside piece was a metal C-channel with a wood post inside. So I want to wait until I have the car here before I actually cut it. If there's any variation, I want it to be perfect. So I just hit this with 80 grit. It feels really good. but I have a little bit of dinking to do. You can see some shadows out at the break mark. So I'll have to tap it around a little bit and continue sanding it, and then work it up to a, I don't know what kind of a finish I'm going to do, if I'm just going to brush them or if I'm not going to polish them. More than likely I'm not going to polish them because they'll never hold, they'll just get scratched, their door sills. So anyway, gonna do the rear ones. Got the front ones prepped in a raw state, ready for cutting and finishing. Rear ones, I am concerned. It looks like I have a complete piece here. I probably can do it, and I probably will. I'm just gonna find the best section on these, you know, to take this off of, you know, and try to get rid of as much work as I can, and just slice it long and start that process all over again, doing it all over again for the other door. So if I get an I'm done for the day on these, but if I get an opportunity to, I'll capture it on the video as well. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and make this rear sill plate now. And we got a mess, right? We got a mess. Make sure you can see that. So basically, I'm going to first make the template, and that's going to, I want to capture this edge, and I'm going to use the beginning of the channel here. Now I trimmed this to size, just a little bit longer. I've got each plate, and now I just need to make I've got a straight edge here, so I just need to make a template. Okay. Need to find that edge, kind of straighten material out a little bit. I'm gonna, since I'm rolling the material down, I want to put it on this side. So we'll line stuff up. See. I'm gonna go off of this flat side here. Mm-hmm. It's always good to have spectacular light when you do this. I'm going right at the bend. It's hard when the material is all flattened, and I don't want to hammer the shnikes out of it because I don't want to stretch the material at all. Okay. Okay. So I got a good point here, good point here, good point here, here. Got raised material. I got a bend right here, so I don't want to do too much in that area. Okay, so there. Now I've got several points. Secure it. Let's see here. I got to grab my aluminum yardstick. Now what I like to do, I like to get a good shape, and I like to use a little mass. You know, I try to get off the end so I can hit all the points. Move my finger till I can see. So basically I'm creating a curve in this aluminum by touching a third, you know, point 1, point 2, and then touching a third point to where I can line it up as best possible with all the lines. I find the apex, right? Okay, that's a really good shape. And now I can put that curve in, draw it in with a pencil. I don't know, I'll show this to you. I don't know how well you can see it. Yeah, you can see the line there. Okay. Then carefully cut out the shape. And this is basically just following the kind of the line outside edge of the door. And it's more decorative than anything else because it sits. This will sit on this, or this way. This is the carpeted surface. And then that radius there follows that outside edge of that door. Just so the reveal is consistent. So, you know, if you're off a 1/16 of an inch hither and dither, it isn't going to matter. So now I know I lined up, I have this sitting like this. I know I lined up that edge, this end. And I'm going to go right at the apex of the curve. Take this side down. Yeah. Take this side down. There. Oh, I had a nice, there it is. And oops. Okay, there's my turnover edge. And I know I'm rolled over here at 7/16 on the inside. So I'm going to mark. Seven sixteenths all the way down, just with dots. Line up to my dots. Mark. And there you have it. So then I'll go over to my Beverly shear, cut this top line off all the way, and then begin to turn it over to 90 degrees on that arc. When I put it in the wheel, there's a little bit, I breathe. I'll smooth those when I put it in the wheel. I'm gonna, like on the other one, I just touched it up just a little bit. So I had a nice smooth arc on the other ones. Now for this one, I certainly can't do this again, right? Because it's an opposite. So this guy needs to go this way. So it's a mirror image, right? You gotta have a mirror image. Right there. Of course, the more you scribe on these things, the softer that cardboard gets because it starts to saturate with the ink from the magic marker. I'm gonna redo this one. Magic marker's transferred to the paper, and it's giving me a. It's kind of hard to find the original line. Okay. Okay, now we got a driver and passenger side. Trim those, got a little few dings I got to pop out of it, that kind of stuff. The cutoff wheel marks, I got to clean those edges out, trim this up, and we'll get back when we begin to wheel it. All right, we're here at the shear, and now I'm going to trim the edges. And I like to stay, I don't know, I kind of split the difference on the line. So that, what I've determined is that folded over edge, when I get to the installation on the body, I know that I can set this a little bit closer or farther, you know, on this roll, the 7/16 edge, I can set it closer or farther, you know, higher or lower to the body. And in this case, I'll probably go just a little bit lower because, you know, this is just a raw cut. I mean, I'm on the line, and the line is not even a 1/16 of an inch wide. So I know my tolerances are going to be good. But I want to make sure I got no light gaps, number one. And number two, I certainly want to protect the paint on the where it sets on top of the car. And so I'll flatten that edge, I'll polish, or I'll sand that edge flat as it mates up with the car, and or that sits on the sill of the body of the car. There we go. As it sits on the sill of the body of the car, this will roll down, right? And then this will be the interior, this will be the exterior, and you'll see that little ledge there. And I'll clean that up to whatever dimension looks good on the car, where the door seal makes contact with this on the bottom of the door, and just get that adjusted in height. And if I need to space it, we're gonna put the screw holes in to the bottom here, then I'll be able to either space it up or whatever I need to do to get it to sit nice and flush. So that's probably a poor explanation because I'm thinking about two things at once. But anyway, pop it out here. So then I'll do this one, and then we'll take them over and we'll start turning them over. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn the edge over. I gotta turn off this TV. And now what I'll do, I'm just going to follow this line. Hopefully this camera's not drifting now. Okay, I'm just going to follow this line through the bead roller. I got you over there because I need this space. So I'm just basically, I had a rubber bottom die. I should stop and say I had a rubber bottom die, but I shredded it. Forgot all about that. So this is going to be a much more difficult in the sense of turning it over, but I'm going to use a steel bottom wheel just to get my marks in it, and then I'll have to dolly it by hand. So at this point, I just put a, maybe you can see a hint of that, but I just put a small crease in it over the line. So there's a slight amount of fatigue and I can feel a slight ramp there. And now I'm gonna continue to follow that guide with a little upward pressure after I get it in. Okay, he's starting to. Can't really see much from that side. And again. Now I can tell I'm starting to stay on the line. I'm actually traveling at an angle because I know that rear wheel is slipping behind the front wheel. And then what are the physics? What's going on? What's going on? I'm staying on the line. Okay. But now, let's see if I can do this. You can kind of see, how can I get a good view? If you look straight down this thing, I'm trying to manipulate this in the camera, but she's got a curve to her. Because I'm starting to take that metal, okay, bend it over the edge, and she's starting to dish. So he's driving my wheel crazy. So now it's stretched all the way down, and we can come back and deal with any minor changes in it. It's raining outside, and my foot pedals on this don't have grippies on them. They're just flat steel, and so the result is I slip off. Now, I'm not concerned about over bending it. I am concerned about staying behind my bend line so I don't flatten it. That's all I'm concerned about at this point. Just get that metal shrunk. This is 16 gauge stainless. So now, where am I at here? Right there. So now you can see I'm pretty straight. Curved in a little on the end, but that don't matter. A little bit over here. I got you set up and repeat. Continuing to try to lift as I go. I have to get behind here. Okay, so now I'm getting somewhere with it. But at this point now, what I want to do is I'm going to take it over and dolly it up now a little bit because I have a crease in there now. I have a crease in there. I'm going to dolly it up. 16 gauges, a little bit harder to work with than 18 or 20 or whatever, but stronger than it needs to be. And a lot of opportunity for sanding too, you know, to clean up the edges. So at this point now, I'm going to go dolly it over. I'm not going to film it. I mean, I can, I guess, but you've seen me dolly. This is the other side. Okay, I got a little more to do. I'm going to come back once I get it dollied over. You can see it's not, certainly not perfect, but it's dollied over. It's shrunk. You can see a little bit of change in elevation. That's why this will need to be shaved level when I'm done. Remember, I just did the 7/16 and I started at that bend line. And so I got a nice shape. I can see a little bit right there, but then this folds out, and I'm going to show you what I do to clean that up. But the next phase, I'm just going to go and hammer on this thing, on this other piece for a little bit, and then I'll come back to you. So it occurs to me that sometimes I take for granted that maybe not everybody has used a dolly. You know, sorry about that. I'm doing this and I'm thinking, well, there probably is a level of complexity here. So I did dolly this one over, but I'm going to show you what I did kind of briefly. You can see there, a little bit of the Sharpie line in there. It's not perfect. I just rolled it over. And the other thing is, of course, since I rolled it over now, she's bowed, right? And wherever the radius gets tighter, you know, this tips down here, it bows a little more because it's pushing that material. But this one I did, but he's not like this. See, he's over, you know, 85 or so degrees. He's not. So basically what I do, I'm going to use the short side of the dolly, and I'm going to I'm going to set it right on the line. Right on the line. I know it's all going to move. But as long as I'm sitting right on the line and clamp down, right there, then I can only do, I don't know, an inch and a half of material at a time. Come on. And just be conscious of that line, right? Because that's your reference. That's where the material's being held. So initially it's taking that bend. Of course, I can do a little more length here because this is mostly folded already, but just trying to achieve 90. Yeah, I'm going to have work to do on the finish side, but that's metal work, right? That's metalwork. Doesn't really end, does it? Okay. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. Ah! Okay. Sits pretty good. Sits really nice. That one I probably won't need to shrink. This one here, I need to shrink. And then, you know, typically I'll just take a straight edge, hold it over the bead. I don't know how much of that you can see. Hold it over the bead, hold it over the edge. There's a little bit of sway in the middle, so maybe a little shrink here. This one, I gotta pull that paper off, but this one, can I get it in there so you can see it? I mean, it's way up there. Okay. Okay. When I shrink that, it'll straighten that piece out. I'll get the paper off of this, or the plastic off of this, and then we'll go to work on it. While it still had the plastic, the plastic on it, the vinyl, I tapped down those impressions that were made into it that remained. You can see along there, the die and the break was not that clean, so it shredded through. But you know, whatever. That's not a big deal. It's more work, but considering the price I paid to have this, to get to a machine that would do this kind of work and provide a dead flat surface, you know, over that length and a consistent bend. This line is the same all the way down. For the price, I'll do a little extra sanding, right? I'll do a little extra sanding. So I'm going to go ahead and swear a little bit as I attempt to pull this off, and then get back with you. All right, here we are back again. So you can see the shrink marks. Can you? Can you see the shrink marks? Okay, both of them have been through the shrinker. Now, if I hold them, line them up, hold the bottoms. You could, you know, there's a little difference in the gap. That's irrelevant. But the pieces are so doggone close. They're beautiful. So now we need to refine this edge here. And so to do that, let's see. I want to remove the top die. I get some I don't know what you call it, some flack from people who see my 12-inch, I don't know, 15, 20-year-old Harbor Freight bead roller that I've concocted with an angle iron and scrap material and a old 12-volt DeWalt drill. I get flack for how I, cheap, guy's cheap. But you know what? It works. It works spectacular. Even though some of the homemade dies I made are standard and the Harbor Freight dies are metric, you just carry two sets of wrenches with you, Allen's, and you can make anything. Sometimes I talk to myself. That is the metric. Now I'm not going to put that bolt in here because I want that surface. But basically now, actually, yeah, I'm going to use the top. So basically, I am going to now refine it, try to take some of the undulations out of it, and just simply stay close to the line. While I hold it up to the die. And just try to refine that outer edge. Yes, it'll be trimmed, as mentioned earlier, but I'm holding it up to the die, so I'm approaching that 90 degrees. The material's got memory, right? It's not going to achieve 90. It doesn't have to be perfect 90. It just has to be consistent with the rest of the pieces, right? Okay, so there's one run through, and you can see, the light and dark spots in the line. That's, from my hammering and all that stuff. And I'll continue to run it through. Probably need to get a file on the edge here because I'm going over the tops of those. So yeah, I'll do that. Just trying to get those high spots off of there so the squishes through the wheel properly. So those spots are probably where I stopped and started on the shear, right? There, that feels really good. They'd be where I stopped and started on the shear, and breathed a little, so it shifted slightly and left a little shard on there to fold over. Sorry. Okay. So now I got both of them filed. Quick file away. Go ahead. Whatever. 3/4 of a turn, I suppose. Whoops. And begin. I would really like, in a situation like this, I like to go continuous, because if you stop and rock the piece, you could create a little dent in it. So I really try to go continuous, trying as best I can to keep the pressure as even as possible. It just reduces the amount of work in the end, right? And now she starts to refine even more and more and more. It looks like she's got a little bit of bow in her, but most of this will sand out. I'll have to hit it with 80 grit, tink it with a hammer, and just clean the side up as I go to the finished side of this. So I'm going to pull you out of the eel here. Now, this is number 1, and this is number 1. In the end, when I do all the trimming, this wraps around the post. I don't recall if there's a gap in it. It occurs to me that there is, that's too narrow, that these probably have a small gap in them. I don't know. But in any event, what's important when they wrap around the post is that this isn't sitting here or here, right? That they're lined up. So I took the two, these are mirror images of each other. I got to back up. Okay, those are mirror images of each other. This is one and this is one. And so I refined my line to make sure, whoops. I'm holding it too far out. Okay, I refined you have to ignore the back because we did use a backstop. I got a little more there. Just from the front corner radius to the end, that those would be the same. You can see this here. This was pushed a little differently than this into the die. But when you're looking, I'll set it up like this. Don't know why I didn't think of that. When you're looking at the vehicle and these things are coming to kiss and you got a post in the middle, the back side of this isn't as relevant. The carpeting's going to come down across here and the interior side of the 2-inch post and yada, yada, yada. So that would be the front door. That'd be the back door where the wheelhouse goes up. And voila. So now I just simply need to sand them and refine them to get them. This one's hit with 80 grit and most of the scratches came out. You can see some work still needs to be done. Again, there's not a huge focus on this side because this is just simply anchored to the floor. On this side, this will have evenly spaced stainless recessed screws. I'll probably use Allen head, as I tend to run that theme, right? So I use the tapered Allen head in the sill. It would be really cool to get a logo in here too. And I'm just thinking about that right now. That's why I've just taken this to 80 grit. If I could just stamp a AKK into that. So just what I'm thinking right now. We'll see what happens. All right, so now using that straight edge and the shrinker, now I've refined of the surface. And I went across this real quick so you could see. You can see the low and high spots. You can see the variation right here. You can see where the break marks are up there. There's a low spot right there. Okay. And so I have a couple of anvils. I ran a file across this just to check flatness, so I know I come out to here and I start to taper down a little bit, and that's a good thing for me. Depending on which direction you're hitting, right? If I'm trying to move material down, I got a couple thou there, I can smack it down. So on this one now, you can see a couple of marks in there. It looks real good. There's a few marks there. And here, I'll pull it out. You got to get a better light line on it. Light line is always good. Again, having light, high intensity light right near you is really a good thing. So you can see I've got those reduced. Now I'm going to continue to work on those. A little bit of work there. That edge is looking really good. And then I rubbed across the front. And I've got work to do. So basically, you got a smattering of hammers out. And I'm focusing on getting this edge out and this edge. Not worried about this. That's not, we'll get that refined at the end, right? Because you can see where you get changes, right? But after this is flat and this is flat, then I'll focus on these. And for the most part, they'll just need to be hit with 80 grit and sanded once this is flattened out. So I'm sanding with 80 grit, just on a DA or on a belt sander. 80 grit paper. I got 36 if I want to take a bunch of material off. I got a bunch of 80. Just yank it all out. Get as many things from the garage on your bench as you can so that your work area is limited. And I like to hold things. And when I'm sanding, wherever possible, I want to go end to end. So I'll grab this piece of angle. I can hold this piece on the back side, open the drawers, clamp, and I can hold my piece nice and flat to my steel top. And that gives me the best opportunity for success. So basically then I take this, put my finger on this spot here, roll it up, tink, 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 and work my way down each one of those marks until they go away. As like some of these marks like that, some of them are going to go away just because I'm removing material from the surface as I'm taking it down. So I probably, the best guidance I could give you on this one that I just scratched one time is I'd hit here and I'd hit here. I'd hit a few of those. I'd hit that one and then start sanding again and then come back, and you probably still have work to do on certainly that and just keep going until, the next biggest spot. And so now I'm working on there to get those next biggest spots. Sand, come back, next biggest spots, so on and so forth. Have I removed a ton of material? Well, let me flip it over. That's cutoff wheel. So this is just broke, unsanded? No. And that's the goal is not to thin the machine. You have a spot in here where the material is so thin that you can't work with it anymore. So you just simply tinging it until you can get all the high spots out and all the low spots out. So keep going after it. Okay, so I took this one out as far as I care to take it. You can see this here. This gets a little thicker here. That's why it gives that kind of goofy edge. And it's got some, there are some spots left in there after tinging and hammering. But I know I'm going to trim this. I just don't know how much I'm going to trim it. There you can see it kick out right there. So now this is in a position where you can take this thing now. It's all scratched out with 80 grit. Now you can take this thing to whatever, you know, work your way up to a full polish. I probably will do a finish. Oh, I don't know, maybe 120, maybe 180, just to have a nice shine line. But it's going to take scratches. I mean, even with 80 grit, it's got reflection to it. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do. Hell, I might even powder coat them, but I doubt that. But so those are the sill plates. I got the long ones and the other short one to get after now. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I guess I kind of took the time, not this time around, to kind of step you through what I did do to get there. So hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.